You can probably put that up. There you go. You can put that up. So it is absolutely illegal for a father and daughter to falsely represent themselves as husband and wife to obtain a loan. Send the FBI to raid her house immediately, that kind of thing. Because that's how Letitia and others in the Democrat Party treated President Trump. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to hold him up in court. They tried to put him in jail, reminiscent of a police state, socialist police state. That's what they do, because the background is that socialism does not work as a economic system. So that's why socialist governments have to use force to imprison their opponents, prevent fair elections, because they know no one would ever vote for socialism because it does not work. And Letitia was a key person trying to persecute President Trump on bogus charges.
I agree with you. I saw that whole case. There was a lot of holes there. But, as an attorney general in New York, and she's in the New York courtroom, she just presents case. She can do whatever she wants. I mean, she has like carte blanche there. But when you mention this also, just so people know, when you're a civil servant, public servant, to get a loan also, she's not walking in as Letitia James. They give you there's programs. I don't know if they do it for elected official, but these they give they'll give you a reduced rate if you're military, right? But they'll say police fall on that banner. But also elected official, wouldn't they be able to try to coax that too? Because walking in, it's not Letitia James, it's Councilwoman Letitia James.
This was a federal loan under the TARP program. I remember TARP.
TARP program.
They were trying to help out small, family homeowners who had gotten into those adjustable mortgages, but it was not intended for, and it was not eligible if you had 5 apartments or more. So she clearly, falsified her loan document, which is a crime, and falsified her income claims as well. So those are things that have to be looked at. Compared to what Trump did, this is real crime.
There's even more to that, because I think you wrote something else, correct? And there was more that you uncovered with her.
That's right. So the next thing I looked at was going way back to 1983. Letitia James is only 24 years old. She graduated from Lehman College in the Bronx in 1981. And so in 1983, she still hasn't started law school. She won't go to law school for another year and a half at Howard University in Washington, D.C. She's living with her parents and 8 siblings in Brooklyn. And lo and behold, I look at her very first mortgage document, which is online under Acris. Anyone can pull it up. And sure enough, she has taken out a loan for $30,000 to buy a small 888 square foot 2-story townhouse in Queens. Now, I look at this loan document, and again, she's 24 years old, probably doesn't have a job. Or if she does, she's working at McDonald's or something. Clearly not somebody that can qualify to get a mortgage to buy a home. So there we are on a mortgage document showing that Letitia James and Robert James, her father, take out a mortgage as husband and wife. Husband and wife. Now that's the deed. You're flashing the deed there. Now on the deed, they put Robert James and Letitia James, his daughter, so that the ownership properly reflects the relationship on the deed. And that would be important for them because her father was getting older and actually died only 3 years later. But on the mortgage document that I'm holding here, it says Robert James and Letitia James, his wife. You can probably put that up. There you go. You can put that up. So it is absolutely illegal for a father and daughter to falsely represent themselves as husband and wife to obtain a loan. This is mortgage fraud. It's a serious offense. People do it all the time. It's called false representation, and it's providing any misleading or false information on a loan application, including misrepresenting a relationship to qualify. So lying about marriage status to get better loan terms or to get a loan is mortgage fraud. And the punishment includes fines and even imprisonment. So this was the beginning of her career in mortgage fraud. And as I said, that house, her mortgage history is becoming a crime scene. So about 6 months later, the lender called Cadillac Limited, they actually assigned that loan to another company. And again, they were listed as husband and wife. And fast forward to 2000, when they sold the property, same thing. They sold it as Letitia James and Robert James, husband and wife. So it was no, clerical error. I think they did it on purpose so that Letitia could get the mortgage. And again, as Letitia James always says, you cannot abuse the system. You can't, use taxpayers, and you can't abuse loan companies. No one is above the law. So I think Letitia James, in light of these revelations, certainly should consider resigning, because how can she enforce the law as New York State Attorney General and at the same time having a history of mortgage fraud crime in her own mortgage practices?
I would say this. I know people, being, prior law enforcement, they were white collar crimes that they had to make arrests for mortgage fraud, especially special agents, FBI, stuff like that. This is a troubling thing. And you got people in the comments here. Rob Lukash says, "Thank you, Sal and Joel, for reporting on Letitia James. Can't imagine that the top attorney should be getting away with these crimes." Rob is a retired executive, by the way. He's got a show on there, Executive Perspective. They have some of his comments. People, what's her name says, "I'm so glad I'm here, Sal. I didn't know any of this," because this is the biggest problem, that people they don't know about this stuff, Joel. They want to shield her. That's probably part of the problem here.
Well, look, what's interesting is because New York State is an open record state, you can literally go online and download this stuff. So it's just amazing to me. I live here in California. Anyone can do what I did. Sam Antar has done a lot of work on it. And there's just so much stuff on her, especially the campaign stuff, which we'll talk about in a minute, was my third article. But it's all there. You just have to download all these documents. Some of them are 26 pages long, and you got to read them. And the key to doing research, I'll tell you, is this. When you do research, you have to understand that you don't know what you're looking for. I had no way of saying, I would like to find out if Letitia James married her father and if they took out a loan together. I never would have thought of that. So I just said, let me go and read every single document online that has to do with Letitia James and mortgages. And simply reading them one by one, I uncovered this fraud. No one would ever think to look for it because it's so bizarre, and you wouldn't be familiar with someone saying, well, I'm married to my father, give me a loan. But that's what Letitia James did, and that's how I was able to uncover it.
All right. And I have another comment here from Logic's Finest. If two parties in a contract arrangement agree on a price or valuation, there is no fraud of any kind. New York Court of Appeals justices. Tish James lied because she has a history of that. You're proving this, and so with this part alone, these two things you've unraveled here, how can an investigation start? Has anyone reached out to you? Is anybody saying anything as far as Justice Department goes? Because I think this is a huge revelation that needs to be looked at.
I think President Trump, when he took office, he made it understood to his Justice Department and other agencies that he expects to hold accountable the people that abused the system, the people that weaponized government, and they would be looked at. They had their security clearances. Some of them were taken away. I think Letitia James was charged for some other crime by the DOJ. So Trump has certainly given the instructions that any of these people that were committing lawfare, using the legal system to harass and unfairly victimize himself and Republicans, these people would be seriously looked at for any crimes they may have committed. In the case of Letitia James, I think I've revealed that there is a crime, and it falls under the purview of the Department of Justice. You don't have to, the Treasury Department for enforcement. So you don't have to go to the Letitia James office and say, could you please prosecute or investigate Letitia James? They'll look at you like you're crazy and won't do it. So that's why the HAMP loan out of the TARP program is the one that I think they should be looking at. And as far as her pretending to marry her father to get that loan back in 1983, I don't know who would look into that, if it's a statute of limitations. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I think it does deserve to be looked at as well.
I would say she became an elected official. And just before I let you chime in on the last part of this, Ron Layson says right here in response to what Logic's Finest had stated. Ron Layson also has a show here again, Executive Perspective. He's another former executive NYPD, and this matters when he says something, because right here he says it isn't even about evaluation; it's the fraudulently obtained loans. See, people need to pay attention to that. The fraudulently obtained loans. This is a woman who was a city councilwoman and then became the attorney general of the state of New York.
You just watched the latest clip from the Sal Greco show. If you want to watch the full episode, click the link below. And while you're at it, please hit the like, share, subscribe button. And don't forget to click the notification button also.